With the reveal of 29 bids from Chapter 240, that means a lot of the remaining players in the Blue Lock project have finally played in the NEL, and it seems the majority of the bids are now made up of the most relevant characters to the Blue Lock story. But there is the question of, do any of the remaining players that haven't played as of Chapter 240 actually still have a chance to play? And better yet, will any of them be able to get a high enough bid to get into the top 23 in rankings? Since it might be easy to dismiss these remaining players and say that while most might play, we won't see any of them getting a high enough bid with only 1 or 2 games left for their team. But Hiyori only played 1 game and played the last portion and was able to get a pretty decent bid and jump to the 18th spot. Plus, now that we have confirmation that players can drop in value if they play poorly enough, this gives the author a lot of room to just drop players in value if he realistically wanted to add others into the top 23 last minute. So in today's video, we are going to discuss some of these remaining players that I still think have a chance, who they are, how likely they are to play, and if I see them actually having a chance of making it into the top 23 within the remaining time that's left in the NEL. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am on the road to 1K and reaching the goal closer every day, so any support is very much appreciated. So let's start with the players from the main team that we have been following, which is Bastard, since they are made up of characters that would be most likely to still have a chance to be made relevant. And we'll start with the only player that is 100% confirmed to be playing from this list, which is Kyoto Jin. Many people suspected that Kyoto was going to be the next background character that we would get to know after there had been several hints about his character being someone that readers should keep an eye on. And after he almost got to play during the Ubers match, this made several people excited, especially after Noel Noah promised that Kyoto would get to play in the PXG match. So this already answers the question of will he play, since not only will Kyoto get to play, but he's going to play in the most anticipated match in the NEL, which is Bastard versus PXG. So now the remaining question for Kyoto is just how good is he, and will his performance in the PXG match be good enough to get him a spot in the top 23. Well, the fact that Kyoto is considered to have better overall stats than all the remaining players still on the bench on the Bastard team, including Hiyori at the time, is already promising. Since while we know that stats are not the most accurate, it does at least give us an idea of where the author sees the players in terms of their skill level. Plus, Kyoto is stated to be good enough to be a starter, so his skill level is at least at minimum a similar level to the weaker players of the starting lineup for the Bastard team, which is still saying a lot. I also think another important detail is the fact that Noel Noah was still willing to let Kyoto play in the PXG match, since we know that Noel Noah's team philosophy is all about rational play and not emotions, at least most of the time. So Noel Noah isn't letting Kyoto play in the next match because he feels bad he didn't let him play in the Ubers match, since this is the final and most important match. So Noel Noah has to make really smart decisions about who will play, and he must be letting Kyoto play in the upcoming match because he believes he is strong enough at this point to be in the starting lineup and handle going up against a team as strong as PXG for the first time, for his first official time on the field. So Kyoto will probably show a good performance during his time on the field, since there can be no weak players on the Bastard team if they want a chance up against PXG. So now the final question for Kyoto before we move on to the next person is, will his performance be strong enough to get him a spot in the top 23? And honestly, it's just up to how relevant the author wants to make him in the upcoming match. But let's quickly try to break down what his role could be, since I will do a more detailed analysis when I do my PXG prediction video. We know that Kyoto has similar skills to Corona, which was also stated, meaning he will likely have a supportive type role. But the question is, who will Kyoto support? A lot of people ruled out Izaki since they felt like Kiyora might harbor negative feelings against him for directly blocking him from going on the field so his friend could go on and help him score. Since Kiyora seems like a chill person from the little bit we have seen from him, but anyone would be understandably upset about this since Izaki took away an opportunity for Kiyora to get a value, meaning that PXG is literally his last chance to impress the investors enough so that he could get into the top 23, which can't feel like the best position to be in. So it will be interesting if we actually at any point see Kiyora actually make a comment to Izaki about that situation, since it was treated as a chill moment, but it would be interesting to see that explored with his character. So people might think that he is secretly so upset that he is going to play for Kaiser or be the final piece that Kunigami needs to make a bigger impact in the matches. I'll share more of my thoughts in a future video, but as of right now, from everything we have seen, Kiyora, besides one other person on this list, definitely has the most potential to make it into the top 23. Now this next person, while not confirmed to be playing yet, many people are confident that not only will they get to play, but will get a spot in the top 23, which is the monk himself, Igaguri. We have known Igaguri since the first selection. He was the worst ranked player in his building, and while he had small moments in the first selection, his character has done little to nothing that is football related since then. So the big question surrounding his character is, how is he still here? Since many people were surprised that he was even able to do the 100 goals in 90 minutes task that the Blue Lock players were assigned to do before the second selection began. So the next big question is, if Igaguri is considered to be that bad of a player, why are people so confident that not only will he play, but he is going to get a spot in the top 23? Well, Igaguri is considered the comedy relief character of the series, and characters like that typically remain around for the majority of the stories, since they are the source of humor for the series. Plus, the running joke about Igaguri is that he's always able to just get by. In the first selection, he was just saved from being eliminated because Kiyora got eliminated instead. He was carried by Shidou and his team in the second and third selection, and he hasn't had to worry about an elimination since then. But another major factor that will likely keep Igaguri around is the fact that he's the author's favorite character, meaning that the author will likely find a way to keep him around since he likes him so much. So how will it be done? With one game left for Bastard and the skills that Igaguri is working with, which while might not be as bad as many people give him credit for, since he was one of the substitutes for the Blue Lock 11, they are from being at a PXG level or a starting lineup level for Bastard. Well, the monk's special ability is that he can false foul people, so many people are suspecting that he will get another player fouled, and that will be a shining moment to get a high value. Obviously, he will have to do a bit more than that, but many people believe that this will be his role in the upcoming match, and that Shidou is most likely going to be the one at the other end of this foul. But yeah, the biggest factor that will probably keep Igaguri around is the fact that he's one of the author's favorite characters. And from chapter 241, it seems the author's already setting up some growth for him and a moment that will justify him doing something crazy during the PXG match to get him into the top 23. So even above Kyoto Jin, I think the monk is most likely to make it into the top 23, even if he doesn't have an amazing performance in the PXG match, since he will more likely have a clutch moment for when PXG becomes too overwhelming for the Bastard team to deal with at some point. Now let's talk about the last person on the Bastard team that hasn't touched the field at all in the NEL and has definitely gotten the least amount of panel time from this team in this arc, if any at all, which is Narutepe. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if most people forgot that he was even on the Bastard team, since even though Bastard is the team that we follow the most along in this arc, usually I forget he's even on the team until we get a brief shot of him in the background on the bench. But as a reminder of who Naru is, He is the speedster defense player that we saw on the original U20 Japan team, which honestly, besides Aiku, pretty much all of the original U20 Japan players have gotten little to no development, but Naru especially is one of the players that we have seen very little from. So trying to answer the first question of will he actually play, the answer is most likely ? I mean, I find it hard to believe that the author would have Naru be the only player from Bastard that will not play, but unlike Igaguri and Kiyora, he has not built up any type of role that he will play in the PXG match. We have basically seen nothing from Naru, and it seems like it would be around this time would be the perfect time for the author to start setting up his character, or at least having his character start to express that he wants to play, or even just a panel of showing him expressing anything. But this has not happened, so it's hard to tell if the author is even considering having him play. But I do believe that we will see Naru play, since as a speedster type player, he is already automatically being set up against another PXG player, which of course is the second fastest player in the Blue Lock facilities in Tetsu. Speedster characters are notoriously hard to defend and shut down against in the Blue Lock universe, with Chigiri farther proving that, being the only member of his team that could score against PXG. So I think Sentetsu will end up giving Bastard a harder time than they were expecting, so Naru will be switched in with the sole purpose of shutting down Sentetsu with his speed. I believe that the author was very careful about selecting where each character would go for their NEL teams, especially for Bastard, considering that this would be the team that we would be following along with most. And it can't be a coincidence that Bastard has a speedster type character, and so does PXG. So I'll be interested to see that if Naru does end up playing this role. And now the final question is, will Naru end up getting into the top 23? And as of right now, my answer would be no. We already have two characters that special abilities are their speed, so unfortunately, I just don't think Naru offers anything unique enough to make it onto the U20 Japan team. Plus, I think if the author was considering making him into a relevant character, then he would have already dropped hints of him becoming relevant by now. So I think Naru will be an essential in the upcoming match, but not enough to make it onto the team. Of course, I could be wrong, but only time will tell. Now, the next player I'm going to discuss might be from a team that might not be in the best situation right now, but is still my favorite team in the league, which is Manshine. And the player I wanted to discuss and hasn't played as of chapter 240, but I think does have a chance, is Nishioka Hajime. I actually made a video a few months back where I talked about the top 4 biggest mysteries in Blue Lock and deemed that Nishioka was one of the biggest mysteries, since he was one of the original background characters that many people suspected would become majorly relevant later on. But a few months later, and Nishioka is still a mystery from when I made my original video. Now, if you're confused by a background character that has barely even been seen in person within the manga is so mysterious to people, it's because of Nishioka's nickname, where he was compared to the player Messi in the first chapter. This has made people suspect that Nishioka being compared to Messi must have meant that he was a pretty amazing player before Blue Lock. Plus, there has been some odd choices surrounding his character, such as him being the only player to get injured during the World 5 game and the author celebrating his birthday. It's little things like that that made people think that the author wants people to at least pay a bit of attention to his character, since he could become important later on. But of course, Nishioka could just forever be a background character that will have no relevant role in the future story. But of all the players that haven't played yet on the Manshine team, Nishioka does feel like he would be the most likely to play next, and his lack of presence in the first 2 matches could be explained that he was still recovering from his injury in the World 5 match, since at that point they would have played a few weeks into the league, so it would have made sense for him to have been healing this whole time. Since at the end of the day, It does feel random that the author gave a background character an injury, and for it to just never be brought up again would be strange. Of course, this is all just speculation and reading between the lines, so it could all lead to nothing, but there is still time for Nishioka to play. As for if I think he will make it into the top 23, I honestly have no idea. I think it would be pretty funny if he did, but who knows what the author has planned, if anything at all, for his character. So for now, I'm going to go with no. But honestly, that's it for my list. We just haven't seen enough from the other characters in the NEL that currently haven't played to deem if they're actually going to be relevant enough to play. I feel like these 4 characters that I have discussed currently have the best chances narrative-wise of actually playing and possibly getting into the top 23. Igaguri definitely has the highest chance, Kiyora has a high possibility, Naru is unlikely, and Nishioka is the least likely of this list. But he would be the coolest reveal if he was actually strong enough to get into the top 23. But there are so many background characters with really cool designs and descriptions. So there's a lot more possibilities for characters that we aren't expecting to rise up. Is there any background characters that you still think has a chance to play and even make it onto the U20 Japan team? Whether from this list or a character that I didn't mention. I'd love to hear all your thoughts and opinions in the comments. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if there's a Blue Lock topic that you would like me to discuss, let me know in the comments. This video idea came from a viewer, so shout out to them for the idea. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!